Hello everybody, my name is Skybound.
Starlight Flux.
And we've just got finished watching Season 9, Episode 17 of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.
We'll have to look up the title later because I can't actually remember.
I'm pretty sure it was Summer Sun Setback.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that was it. Well, we're going to try and use the usual scoring system and basically say, just as a way of discussing about this, but...
So, first of all,
the story. Well, I have to say, it was interesting seeing the villains again, seeing it from the villains' point of view. I kind of did predict that that they wouldn't stop the Summer Sun from running, but they would get the book they were interested in, which was interesting. But also, the last line that was mentioned is foreshadowing. There's a lot of foreshadowing going in this episode between Discord and Chrysalis. Because he said, I basically can cope with whatever comes next. And essentially Chrysalis basically saying that how easy it was to get the ponies to basically hate the, what was it again? It was so easy to show discord between all the different races of ponies. And that kind of does sort of tie in with the Student 6 a little bit, because they're all different races as well. So they would basically, maybe they would be a shining beacon of how it doesn't matter that they're all different, they're different species, never mind different, races of the same species.
So one thing I would say about this story is, first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I've not been as a part of as many commentaries this season.
Yeah, because...
But Grogar's bow, was that ever sort of mentioned what it was?
It's kind of... I think it was mentioned in the first... I think it's only been mentioned in a couple of episodes that have had the villains in. I think it was in the first episode or so, I think they mentioned that it was it's essentially the source of his power, essentially.
Right.
But I don't know what it is or what it does or anything like that. It just seems to be this particular magical MacGuffin, which doesn't seem to be magical at the moment. So that's why they seem to need to get hold of that book. I mean, it shows another example of these villains working together and actually doing a better job than Grogar himself. Because it seems like Grogar has basically gone and got this thing that he's particularly interested in. But he seems like he's mentioning how we need to work as a team, but he's going off and doing all of the bloody work. So I can see that being his downfall, but, I can see him becoming similar to how the Storm King in the MLP movie was basically, even though he was technically the main villain, he wasn't really the main villain. It was Tempest that stole the show.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, so... the villains who aren't Grogar take his bow and then decide that if there's any information on it, it will be in the kind of restricted section of the Canterlot Archives.
And it's interesting to see the callback as well to the it was interesting to see the callback to the improved security as well. Because that way it kind of showed that he couldn't, Chrysalis couldn't just walk straight in there like the last time. It kind of showed that there was improved security, and that was nice little callback. But I find it strange that, Rainbow Dash didn't point out to those unicorn ponies about how, a supporting role that's closer to cheerleading is kind of... Why I'm finding it weird to see them mention, hey, a supporting role that's similar to cheerleading, something that's more about getting people excited is still an important role, because he had a previous lesson about how that sort of thing. So I'm surprised they didn't tie it into that. I mean, because that was in a couple of episodes. Was it a couple of episodes? It was a few episodes ago.
One thing I would say is, I don't really understand why they decided to kind of cause so much chaos among the festival. That was probably a bit over the top really for what they needed to do, which was basically infiltrate the castle. Subtlety is not their strong suit, it seems. Chrysalis had a potentially good idea of disguising as a guard, but obviously those little identity cards But, I mean, I don't see why she couldn't have swapped one. A distraction could have worked. Do a distraction and then quickly swap over the little ID cards while the guards aren't paying attention to it, and then just.
It seemed like while all that was happening, they did take one of the cards though to get in. But
at the end they had to incapacitate the guards, which is kind of the less subtle way of doing it. Although again, at that point, the whole shit was in disarray.
And so that kind of shows why they had to do that, because at that point there was so much that anything's going wrong.
Basically, it seems like no villain knows how to be subtle. It's just like, if we need to do something, we need to do it in the most over-the-top, blatant way of doing something. The most sort of alarming way of going, hey, there's probably some shit going on here. Like,
well,
sorry,
hang on, to be fair, if you watch like, oh god, but they did, like, there was the whole stealing of the, like, Earth Pony's magics near the food sort of thing that went on. That was subtle, somewhat subtle. I mean, it was less subtle than basically trying to knock out all the guards and storm straight in there.
I mean, it was kind of just knocking out all the people around there, though, wasn't it? It's just like, as soon as someone gets close, it just knocks them out. It's like...
Yeah, but it was subtle. It wasn't equivalent to throwing in a firebomb or anything.
The thing I also don't get, right, is Chrysalis used to kind of inhabit that castle while disguised as Princess Cadence.
Yeah.
How does she not know where the archives are? If anything, she should have a better layout of the castle than
that's
than
a good
the other
point.
villains.
She should have more of a.
I'm telling you, these villains are just terrible at stealth.
They roll a quick one and stealth.
Basically, what they should have done is Chrysalis should have remembered the layout of the castle and actually kind of done a little.
Yeah, but she probably wouldn't have done that at the time because she thought she was going to win. If you remember, she was pretty damn arrogant and thought she had already won, and she probably didn't even think to do that because she thought her plan was foolproof. Because of course she does. She's a villain.
Yeah. But anyway, it was an interesting story. And
I'd say that I would give the story at least a 7, if not an 8. It was a really good story behind that. I mean, there was some plot holes, hence the reason why I wouldn't give it a 9. But
I feel like I would go for a 7, and the reason I'm going to go for a 7 is that there's one thing that still continues to bother me about the main 6. Yeah. And that is their treatment of Discord. Guys, if you're not going to trust Discord, and you're basically going to say, Discord, don't be Discord. Like, what's the point of having Discord there?
I think he would. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's a good point.
Discord.
That's a very good point because that's a Cheflot's gun scenario. Or it's an anti-Cheflot's gun. I think that's the term for it. Where basically you shouldn't have something in there if it doesn't serve a purpose. You have a good point. What was the purpose of Discord being there other than making it easier for them to teleport near the villains at the start? Like, that, they could have done that by a different method. I'm sure they could have. Maybe it was just, I don't know, comedy relief? Because let's put it this way, the humour was definitely on point. But I would say the comedy relief was...
Yeah.
I think he was just there for comedy relief. Okay, yeah, I'll have to admit, I'll knock off a point for that. Because while I did enjoy him being in there, I will say that it didn't really serve much purpose in that.
It's the problem I've seen with Discord over the recent episodes that I have seen that have featured him, is that they don't really seem to take that much advantage of him. A lot of the time it seems to be like, Discord, don't do the thing that you're kind of known for, which is chaos.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I never really thought about that.
And it makes me think like he is going to be sort of twisted to the bad side again, just because it's like they're really controlling of him. They're basically being like,
if they
don't be
if
Discord.
they don't do that, then they've missed the point. You have a point. And so in other words, later on, I will give a high point for story if they manage to twist that in.
Yeah.
I'll add a point on if they manage to twist that in, But because if you were watching this episode on its own, I will knock a point off and agree with you, 7.
In my opinion, Discord was best shortly after he had been kind of I forgot the word for it now, but
basically reformed.
Yeah, that's the one.
So,
reformed.
So basically,
where he wasn't really reformed, but he was like he was reformed in his own chaotic way, which was really actually very well done.
I think that's interesting.
But
see, the thing is,
yeah,
I actually agree with you. I think 7 would be. I mean, and then you've got so the humour. Okay, I will say now the humour was on point. There were points throughout, quite a lot of that I was laughing. Like compared to some of the previous episodes. That was more funny than a couple of the previous ones. So I'm going to, I mean, I suppose if I'm judging on this particular episode itself, it certainly had me laughing throughout it. So I would say the humour was, I would say it's at least a 7.
The humour, so, because I will admit there were some great meme faces, especially from Pinky when she was eating the cupcake.
Oh god, yes, and the thing with Pinkie Pie in the doctor's outfit, which I basically correctly predicted. Wait, hang on a minute, she's not a doctor. She basically immediately afterwards says
that was good. Like even if I was a doctor, I wouldn't know what this meant while dressed as a doctor. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I could see that being me.
So there were some genuinely sort of comedic parts. One thing I do have to knock a couple of points off, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it a couple of times in the reaction. Rainbow Dash, why are you being so sarcastic, sister? Like seriously, she was being sarcastic to the point where it wasn't really humorous, it was more kind of slightly mean-spirited.
I suppose so.
Like
I wouldn't say it took anything away from the humour for me, it probably just didn't add anything.
It was just kind of unnecessary sarcasm, and I'm not too sure why she was being sarcastic.
I think the reason why she was being sarcastic was because it's like, great, another flipping thing. That pony is not set out for responsibility. Like, I mean, see, I don't know how she manages to survive through in the Wonderbolts, but she definitely isn't set out to be a teacher. She sure as hell isn't set out to be in a managerial role. I mean, it's just a case of, I knew the flipping princess before she was the princess. That's basically the only reason why she's in that role. I mean, I'm sure there's I suppose knowing the Wonderbolts does have a certain, it certainly helps, but yeah, I can sort of see what you mean, but I wouldn't say it knocks too much off it.
Yeah, I'm gonna personally give the humour another 7.
Yeah,
story 7, humour 7 for me so far. The animation.
Well, meme faces. I mean, you said there was meme faces, so you could say there's a couple of points added for that at least.
Yeah, of course. Quality meme faces will always
increase the animation.
Make me happy.
Yeah.
In terms of animation sort of style, obviously there were quite a few kind of nice little animation effects.
Yeah, because there was the goggles as well. That was like when Discord was looking for the goggles to zoom into Twilight to explode and she didn't. I mean, that was one of the.
Yeah, I think they did sort of pretty well with the animation. Like it was about sort of standard.
Okay,
really.
Fair enough. I would probably just give it a 6 then in that case.
Yeah.
Because there was some interesting things there, but it wasn't overly interesting. There wasn't something that standed out to the point, oh my godish, like how the season 4 finale where you had the great big fucking beam of death.
Yeah, one thing I would say is that I would have expected the animation to be more impressive considering the fact that it was this whole Summer Sun celebration. I feel like they could have done a lot more
a good point, actually.
With animation sort of effects, more explosions, more sort of fancy, complex animation tricks,
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because
it was all fairly standard.
Okay, I tell you what, I'll just put 5. I think you have a good point. Well, no, I think 5 isn't right. I think no.
I think it was still decent animation, but
So,
I'm going to go with a 6 on
yeah,
this.
okay,
just
6.
because-
I agree with.
Yeah, I feel like just because it was like this big celebration,
Yeah,
they
okay,
could have
fair
done a
enough.
lot
It's
more.
not good enough for a 7, definitely, but it's not as bad as I wouldn't say it's average. I think entertainment. I was fully entertained throughout all of that, so I'm going to give it a flipping 8.
Yeah, I mean, entertainment value. That's just kind of factoring in kind of everything, which, to be honest, makes me ask the question why we're not actually doing that after music. But
Yeah, well, yeah. I think to be honest, we'll probably do that after music, actually. But
yeah,
let's just move on to music first.
yeah, I'm gonna withhold my score on entertainment
yeah,
for now because
yeah.
I do want to mention the music.
Yeah. So basically, the music. Okay, for the first time ever, we have actually heard a background. Like we've heard some background music that has actually stood out. Like normally, the background music's just there to. It's to fill in a gap where if you didn't have any music, you would notice it. This time we've had music that, while not being noticeable, wasn't distracting.
It was almost like
Like a marching, like it was sort of a marching beat to the whole thing. Wasn't it? Like
I'd describe it as kind of an instrumental of a song rather than a fully fleshed out
that's
song.
funny. It's almost like they were going to have a song in that bit,
But then they decided not to, and they said, actually, this instrumental kind of worked. Like
that's weird because it's like one of these. It's the first time I've ever noticed an instrumental. I mean, I don't know whether it's because we've started listening to the music and for this sort of thing, but I think that's the first time we've actually ever noticed a background music that stood out.
it was interesting. That's the thing, because the way it sort of started up, like that sort of drum beat and that kind of little melody that was going on alongside the drum beat, it sounded like it was leading into a song, you know.
But it never really got there.
Yeah, it just was constantly that.
So I wouldn't give it, say, a 7, but I would definitely give it a 6 at least, because it was not average. In fact, to be honest, I mean,
I'm actually gonna say that was probably a 7.
Actually, fair enough. Yeah,
I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, because funny enough, a really good instrumental that people enjoy is really hard to do and really hard to make a really noticeable and not distracting one, because it's very easy to do it if people are singing. Like, it's really easy to write, I say it's really easy, it's probably very easy to write something with, well, not really easy, but you know the point I'm trying to make. It's easier to write something with a music in there and make it noticeable, because you've got the singing there, than writing a instrumental that's supposed to be background music that is noticeable. That's like even harder to do than just writing a decent song. So you're right, a 7 is definitely probably more. Yeah, I would say 7.
It was definitely an interesting little piece of music, and definitely refreshing, considering a lot of the MLP soundtrack is kind of basically recycled.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, so something that's new and stands out definitely gets some appreciation from me.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, 7.
So basically, okay, so we went for story was about 7, humour was about 7, so that's for what?
So 14, then animation was a 6, so 20, and we're on 27 so far if we're taking in the music into account. So the only thing we've got left is
entertainment.
Entertainment value. Yes.
I would say, considering how entertained this was, I would say it's 8. I think the way it all works together. Like, I mean, there was definitely, I definitely enjoyed this episode. Like, there's certain episodes that, like, I can mention, which I'm not going to because we've over mentioned them, that were like, the components didn't work really well with one another. But I would say a lot of this, I mean, what would your view on that be? Because I'm saying that 8, I mean, would we be willing to go down to 7?
I'm going to go with 7 on it, and I will explain why. Well, I mean, I've already kind of explained my why, but just to kind of bring it up again, I think I think they misuse Discord again.
Yeah,
and
okay.
That makes me disappointed. But the episode itself was great. It was a good episode, but I don't like how they keep kind of pushing Discord into the sidelines. So it gets a point knocked off for pushing Discord off to the sidelines yet again, not letting him really be Discord. Like, even in an episode where chaos is happening, he's not really allowed to take advantage of that chaos. Like, please give us more chaotic Discord.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the best things about his character when he's really
unless he's really chaotic in the final to be able to beat the villains. Now that would be interesting if he, or at least help beat the villains. But okay, I would say I'll give a 7 in that case. I'm willing to go down to a 7 for it because I admit it was entertaining and So basically, what would that give it to?
So that would be if we go with 7, it's 34, isn't it? 7, 7, 6, 7, and 7.
Yeah, because I think we gave the score a 7 as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we gave the score a 7 for the little background music.
And animation was 6. So pretty much 7s across the board, apart from animation, wasn't it?
Yeah, which was the 6. So it's 34 out of a possible 50.
34. I mean, that's still a really good score. I mean,
if we were to extrapolate that out into a
sort of
like 100% score, that would be basically
it's above average. It's definitely.
It would be 68 out of 100 basically. If you wanted to turn it into a 100 score, that's what it would be.
Yeah, I mean it's a decent. I mean, this shows it's a decent episode, and it definitely feels like an episode I would go back and watch again.
Which also means it would be a 6.8 out of 10 if we then moved it down to a like out of 10 score.
But anyway,
sorry, maths. Quick maths.
Anyway. Well, I mean, any finishing points? I mean, I think we pretty much covered them all, really.
I think that's just about everything, and I think we have talked long enough because we have another episode of MLP to watch. So, for the time being, my name is Skybound.
Starlight Flax.
And we hope you'll watch us for the next episode of My Little Pony Friendship.
Also, this reaction below as well. Don't forget about the reaction below.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure they've already noticed that.
Anyway, see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.